Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Gwei Refuel, where I recap the latest news in the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm your host, Anthony Sassano, and today is the 18th of May, 2021. Alright everyone, let's get into the news from the last 24 hours. So, I actually put this tweet out earlier today, and basically a list of things that I'm excited about in the Ethereum ecosystem that don't get nearly enough attention. And, this is for one reason or another. Maybe like a lot of us don't talk about it very much, or it's not as marketable as something else, right? We're all well aware of like EIP 1559 and the merge and things like that, and those are really big things. But I do believe there are tons of other kind of like major things happening within the Ethereum ecosystem that not enough people are talking about. So I'll quickly go through my list here. I also wrote more about this in the Daily Gwei newsletter. You can go check that out for some links and things like that as well. But essentially, the list goes like this. So the first thing is EIP 3074, which is going to be a major boon for user experience. Now, I'll give a quick TLDR here. What this allows for is it basically replaces something called meta transactions with a new feature that basically reduces smart contract complexity, makes it more trustless to do these kind of batch transactions and have like a really great user experience at the same time. Now, what does this practically mean for users? Well, you know how every time you go on like Uniswap or some decentralized exchange and you have to approve a token before you can trade it, right? So you have to do two separate transactions. Well, what 3074 will allow developers to do is to build functionality into their smart contracts where you no longer have to do that. So you can essentially do one transaction for the approve and the swap, in the same transaction. So this works to save on gas fees, of course, and this also works to get rid of that really crappy UX where you have to approve two transactions. Now, that's just scratching the surface of what this can do. Developers can basically, from my understanding, string together any number of transactions that they want, and kind of like one transaction here. Sorry, any number of actions that they want in kind of one transaction, so that you can do a lot of really cool stuff around that. So yeah, that's really cool there. Next up is the Altair upgrade, which is the first ETH2 network upgrade. This includes a bunch of upgrades, specifically around the incentive mechanisms and the penalties associated with like slashing, going offline, all that sort of stuff there. So, and I think it's really exciting because, as I said, it's the first major ETH2 upgrade. It's going to be the first time the ETH2 network hard forks, as part of that network upgrade, and it's just going to be great to see that happen. Next up, we have the Ethereum Core Dev Apprenticeship Program, which I talked about. I think it was yesterday or the day before, was Refuel, and essentially what this entails is it's a program that allows people to, I guess, more simply be onboarded to become an Ethereum core developer, as that kind of process has been very murky in the past, where it's been very hard to onboard. It wasn't simple in any way, and it took a lot of time for people to get onboarded, and it would actually scare a lot of people from trying because it was just too much of an investment and too messy. So this program aims to simplify all of that. Next up, we have DAOs launching grants programs. I've spoken about this before on the Refill as well, about how a lot of these DeFi projects have massive treasuries now, and they're trying to kind of like find what to do with them. And one thing they do is they create these grants programs. So we have like Compound grants, Aave grants, Uniswap grants. There's a bunch of others out there. And these grants work to either reward individual contributors or reward teams and stuff like that. And I think this is going to have like a very big impact on the wider ecosystem. And it's going to be able to fund a bunch of different things that wouldn't have gotten funded before. So that's really, really cool. And last up, we have Aztec Network's L2 or Layer 2 privacy tech, which I think is really, really cool, uses a lot of the same technology that we're all used to in the Layer 2 space, but has privacy as its backbone here. Now, I think privacy is really underappreciated and really under-discussed within the crypto ecosystem, especially for something like Ethereum, where every transaction that you do is traceable, right? Like very easily. You can go on Etherscan and see anything you want. And of course, like there's a lot of financial transactions happening, so definitely need more privacy there. But Aztec's Layer 2 privacy rollup is live. You can go use it right now if you just go to the Aztec website or zk.money actually. And you can use it on there and kind of play around with it. So definitely check that out. But I think, privacy is going to take a little while to adopt, but I hope to see privacy by default eventually. If we're all on Layer 2s, then there's no reason for privacy not to be the default at the end of the day. So yeah, those are just 5 things that I came up with. There's plenty of other things happening within the ecosystem, of course, that to be excited about, but these are the lesser known things, and I just wanted to kind of put a spotlight on that one. So CL, everyone's favorite Anon cat on Twitter today, basically put out a tweet where he said he has this Flippening thesis, which is essentially, he says, ETH has better futures market structure, there's no grayscale unlock, proof of stake in Q1, so the merge, not polluting indefinitely, which is a narrative, right? Like how Bitcoin has the really bad narrative right now around proof of work. It's the base pair and collateral for DeFi, which Coinbase have now made a wallet for, which I will go over in the next tweet. And it's the currency of the NFT space that is pricing in all internet culture. You've got 1559. And yeah, I mean, there's lots of catalysts there. So I think looking at this is a lot of the stuff that I've spoken about before on the refuel. So this shouldn't be coming as a surprise to any of you. But it's good to see other people that I wouldn't consider like hardcore Ethereum people kind of like cluing into this and putting the signals out there that the flippening is real, and I think it's definitely going to happen sooner than most people realize. There is just so many positive headwinds for ETH right now. ETH has been able to battle off so much FUD and come back stronger. The ETH BTC ratio has obviously been trending up for a few months now, and it's been going, really great across the board there. We have the major catalysts that I always talk about, like 1559 and the merge and things like that. So I won't dawdle too long on this because I speak about this all the time, but I think it's just good to see people from, outside the hardcore community putting a spotlight on this. And talking about that Coinbase wallet here, so essentially what this is basically a browser extension that allows you to connect to DeFi or to DeFi apps or to different kind of like Ethereum apps by using the Coinbase mobile wallet app. So it's like a wallet connect kind of functionality here, which essentially allows you to kind of sign transactions on your phone, but use kind of like the desktop experience, sort of like what you would do with MetaMask. So you can use this for basically anything that you can use MetaMask for, right? You can see it right here in the screenshot. This allows you to connect your Coinbase mobile wallet app to all of your favorite apps without having to do it through the mobile app. Now, the reason why Coinbase has released this wallet extension is because if you remember, the Coinbase used to have an inbuilt Web3 browser where they would actually have like favorites and kind of app and link to different apps and stuff like that. But the App Store or the Apple App Store has a policy that you're not allowed to do that. Because it's like it's technically like selling a service within the app without Apple getting a cut, which I thought was a bit stupid, but that's what it is. So this is Coinbase solution. Essentially, allow users to keep their Coinbase mobile wallet app, which is a great mobile wallet app, mind you. I have some assets stored on there, but then also use them with all of your favorite apps on desktop without having to use it through the mobile wallet app. So really, really glad to see this. Really happy to see Coinbase supporting more, DeFi stuff, and they're really going all in on DeFi here. I think that's really, really important because, as I've spoken about before, we have other exchanges that are rather hostile to Ethereum right now. Binance obviously has BSC that they're trying to promote. FTX has Solana that they're very heavily involved in. I've seen there's other kind of like centralized exchanges now that have essentially launched their own chains trying to replicate the success of BSC. So it's really great to see Coinbase taking this neutral approach where they're just like, well, we're just going to support Ethereum and DeFi. They've supported kind of like obviously Bitcoin, and I'm sure if the Lightning Network ever matures to a certain point, they're going to support that and things like that. So really cool to see this from Coinbase, and kudos to them for getting this out there. Speaking of mobile wallet apps, Argent, another very popular app here, one that I also use, announced today that they've got over $1 billion now stored across all of their Argent wallets, which are smart contract wallets for those who don't know, which basically allows you to get, smart multi-sig security, as they say here. One-tap DeFi, no free seed phases, no single points of failure, and their layer 2 is on the way. Now, I've discussed their layer 2 plans on the refuel before, so I won't rehash it here, but this is just really cool to see that there's over $1 billion stored in Argent wallets. So over $1 billion worth of capital is trusting Argent wallets to secure that capital. So yeah, just awesome to see that, and I figured I'd bring that up as, Coinbase Wallet isn't the only game in town, right? You have Argent and Rainbow Wallet as well as killing it on a lot of fronts too, so really great to see this. So DiversiFi has announced a new strategic round today. So a $5 million raise here. Full disclosure, I did participate in this as an angel. I wrote a small check. But for those who don't know, DiversiFi is building a layer 2 DeFi ecosystem on Starkware's technology. They are basically, I would say they're very similar to Loopring in that sense, where they're trying to build things like decentralized exchanges and ways for people to tap into DeFi on layer 2. So obviously I'm bullish on DiversiFi as I am an investor here. I think the team is great. I think they're doing amazing work, and they've been at it for quite a while now. So yeah, this round is really great to see. And you can see like it's basically the who's who of DeFi investors. You have ParaFi Capital, which I think led the round, and you have Defiance Capital, Delphi Ventures, Fenbushi, Starkware invested in it too, Spartan, basically most of the top tier kind of investors here. Now, for those of you who don't know, there is going to be a DVF token. This was basically a strategic round done before, I think, the public kind of airdrop of the token. I'm not sure if they have the breakdown here, but there is essentially a breakdown where it says that 8% of this token is going to be airdropped to people. So if you're not using DiversiFi, maybe it's it's best to get on there and start using it, not just for the potential of an airdrop, but also to avoid the kind of gas fees, obviously, and get cheaper and faster transactions, and to basically learn to love Ethereum again. I've been seeing that comment from a lot of people lately as they use more of these layer 2 solutions or kind of like side chain / commit chains like Polygon and stuff like that, where essentially they're saying they love Ethereum again because they get to have this really this experience with cheap and fast transactions, but like an Ethereum-like experience at the end of the day, which is really, really cool. So yeah, congrats to DiversiFi on this round. Very happy to have been included, and I'm really excited to see where they go from here. So Connext Network put out a blog post today that they've created this thing called the virtual AMM and liquidity auction. So this is how they're planning to solve the liquidity problem, or the fragmented liquidity problem between different chains and different layer 2s and stuff like that. So this is fully detailed here of how it all works. But essentially, I mean, you can read this blog post for yourself, but essentially this is the TLDR in this screenshot here, is that you have two different kind of like, I guess you could call them chains here, where you have the Polygon POS chain and you have the Arbitrum layer 2 chain here, and these chains want to kind of talk to each other, right? Liquidity wants to move between them. And so how do we do that without going to Ethereum's layer 1? Well, you can go through the Connext router, which acts as a liquidity provider or a cross-chain kind of decentralized exchange, if you will, for these two platforms, and it uses state channel technology, which is a layer 2 technology, to achieve this. So that's essentially what Connext tries to do, basically be the router between all different types of chains. Doesn't matter what chain it is, doesn't matter what layer 2 it is, they want to be able to do this by using, AMM technology here. So anyway, I suggest going and reading this blog post. It gives a lot more detail about what this actually is and how it actually all works. But I'm personally very excited to see how this pans out, because I do think that liquidity fragmentation is a problem not only for layer 2s, but also for different chains and things like that. But once we have these bridges, it goes from a problem to an opportunity, and you can start building really cool apps with these bridges as well. So yeah, really, really cool to see this from Connext. Definitely go check out the blog post. So Scoopy Trooples put out a really great tweet that I really loved today, just reiterating this that I've been thinking about a lot here. But essentially, he put out this tweet that said, all these ETH killers are trying to solve the scalability problem, but don't have enough usage to even have a scalability problem, kek, which is lol. This is really important because if your chain has, so I guess there's two reasons why your chain would have low transactions or kind of like, I guess, low transaction fees or kind of like fast transactions and things like that. So one of the reasons is that it sacrifices decentralization for scale, right? Which is essentially true for every non-layer 2 chain. I mean, to be fair, it's even true for the Polygon POS chain. Yes, they have over 100 validators, right, securing the network, but it is not as decentralized as Ethereum, right? I obviously love Polygon, but it is not as decentralized as Ethereum, so they can achieve a greater scale because of that. That's not to say it's bad or anything like that, but generally Ethereum could scale, more if it wanted to on layer 1, but it doesn't want to sacrifice the incredible decentralization that it has. And secondly, these platforms will tout they've got like 50,000 transactions per second, and this feeds into the first point where they'll tout this. But again, they'll never tell you that they're centralized or they're way more centralized than Ethereum. They're always going to try to sell you on a narrative or something like that. So that's where a lot of this comes from. And also, if you have no users at all and you're not generating any fee revenue, then, I mean, you're not going to have kind of like these scalability problems and you're solving for nothing. It's essentially building, as I said here, a ghost chain or like a ghost city or whatever. And I've spoken about this before, so I won't kind of like dawdle on them on too much here. But I think this is just a really great way of putting it at the end of the day. But yeah, as I said, I won't dawdle too much here. I just thought it was interesting, and I think that it's something to keep in mind when you're comparing different chains to Ethereum, and even just like different chains to Bitcoin and kind of like other chains out there, you always need to look at, okay, where is the scalability coming from? How are they achieving this? And what are they giving up to achieve it? So on that note, I did want to kind of like shine a light on this post from Vitalik that he put out back in October of 2020 called a roll-up centric Ethereum roadmap, because there's a lot of new users into the crypto, and especially Ethereum ecosystem, since this post was published. And I think this is basically required reading for anyone in the Ethereum ecosystem. Like, it's not very long, but if you want to understand the future of Ethereum, how it's going to scale and what its kind of like scalability roadmap looks like, Vitalik's post here is it. And the TLDR of it is essentially that ETH2 and sharding and layer 2 are all complementary technologies. They do not kind of like, they are not parasitic to each other. Just because we have ETH2 coming with sharding doesn't mean that layer 2 becomes obsolete. What sharding does is it actually enhances layer 2 and gives us even more scalability at layer 2. And the roadmap for Ethereum is basically to do this, right? Keep layer 1 as decentralized and secure as possible while scaling via layer 2. And obviously I'm preaching to the choir here, and I've spoken about this a lot on the Refuel, so I won't rehash it again here, but definitely go give this a read. Like, I mean, I highly recommend this to everyone. And if you don't read this, you'll continue being confused, because I think a lot of people are confused by the ETH2 sharding layer 2 thing, and they think that, you know, once sharding gets here, layer 2 is dead and there's no point to it. That can't be further from the truth. So yeah, just definitely go give this a read here. So Mariano put out a tweet, I think it was yesterday, where he said, the number one reason I'm bullish on Ethereum is because I'm building on it, and so are all my friends. I mean, this is the bull case, right? The developers have so much power in this ecosystem. A lot of them are in it for the tech. A lot of them don't want to just make like a quick buck and just exit scam or whatever, or just like go build on another chain that doesn't, you know, fit in with their values, right? This is why you don't see a lot of teams focusing on other chains, like whether that be BSC or like, you know, any number of the other chains out there, because they want to build on Ethereum. And at the end of the day, the developers, you know, are the ones which the users follow. So if the developers build something on Ethereum, then the users follow that. The users are going to use it. And then when we have layer 2s, the developers are going to have such an amazing design space to start building better applications on without the constraints of the layer 1 mainnet with gas costs and things like that, and I guess like problems with speed and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I couldn't have put it better myself. I think Mariano, you know, hits it home here with this tweet. So the universe.xyz white paper is out here. So essentially what this is, it's basically a meta universe, targeting kind of like NFTs and kind of like things like that. They describe themselves here as like the universe protocol, or a DAO for kind of like NFTs and transforming NFTs from standalone objects into franchises of collections and things like that. But basically, what this white paper details is, you know, how it all works, you know, how the auctions work, how the royalties work, stuff like that. How all the collections are going to work, how their DAO is going to work. So there's actually going to be a token involved, and you'll be able to farm this token too. And this is the first yield farm that I've seen in quite a while that's going to allow you to farm with just naked tokens. So typically you'll need to kind of like put LP tokens up, which exposes you to impermanent loss. But essentially what this farm lets you do is just put up any of these tokens to farm these XYZ tokens. So yeah, definitely if you're interested, go I guess like check this out. It's not live yet. I'm sure it's going to be live soon. But yeah, this is a project that I've been following for quite a while. For those who don't know, this project was actually the Pepe NFT project originally, but stuff happened around there with the original creator and things like that. So the project needed to kind of reimagine themselves, and I was an early contributor, so I guess just to disclose here that I'm part of this contributors OG section here, so I'll be getting airdrops some tokens from this. But I think that the project is really cool. It's backed up by a lot of people in the ecosystem that I highly respect, and that know what they're doing when it comes to this sort of stuff and how to build products. And I really do think that NFTs right now are in a little bit of a bear market, but that doesn't mean that they're going away or going to, you know, permanently go away. The NFT kind of design space is still huge, and there's still much left to develop and to explore here. So I'm very, very excited to see how Universe handles all of this and what they build here. So Stani is out there teasing Aave Pro for institutions again here. So he basically put out a screenshot of basically, and then captioned it with Aave Pro for institutions, which led to a bit of mixed feelings, I think. And I spoke about this the first time Stani kind of teased this on Twitter, where people are worried that this is going to invite unnecessary kind of regulations and kind of like KYC AML into the ecosystem. And some people are actually saying that we shouldn't be building this stuff, which I actually think is quite insane. Like, I don't believe in policing people about what they should or shouldn't build. The fact that this is a permissionless platform and you can build whatever you want is what you just have to deal with. You cannot say to someone, oh, you shouldn't be building this because of X, Y, and Z. Well, I mean, yes, okay, maybe if it's a scam, you should be telling people, well, you're building this and it's a scam, like, we're going to denounce you, right? But this isn't a scam. Like, this is just an Aave liquidity kind of market for institutions who aren't able to play in the normal DeFi markets, like, because they're just bound by regulations. They can't do it. Like, it's impossible for them to do it. So instead of them having to struggle and not adopt this technology at all, why not help them on board to this technology and do that in a controlled ecosystem that they are allowed to essentially experiment in and play around in, while having the safety that they need, essentially. You know, this is like, I guess, a special economic zone for institutions where, you know, DeFi and the wider Ethereum open space is kind of like the normal economy, but then you have like these little pockets where institutions can play in to get comfortable with this sort of stuff. Then they can hopefully move on to the more public stuff here, which I think they will. I don't think they're going to be stuck doing these kind of like, private liquidity pools and stuff like that forever. I do believe that they're going to transition to the public stuff because there's just more opportunity there, and it's more kind of like credibly neutral, as I've discussed before. So yeah, but there's lots of discussions, I guess, in the comments about this and about people's concerns and things like that, and about how this is. I mean, not even just in the comments, but in the quote tweets as well, and about how this is potentially going against what DeFi stands for, and people shouldn't be supporting this. I don't know. I take the other side of this. Like, you can support this while simultaneously thinking that KYC and AML are ridiculous, which I do think they are, and, you know, believing that we should all be able to go bankless and there shouldn't be any of this sort of stuff and anyone should be able to access this. But at the end of the day, the institutions themselves would have built this stuff, on their own if they weren't going to tap into these other things. It would take them longer, but they would eventually build it. So why not kind of like use the Trojan horse of these kind of private institutional pools to kind of like DeFi pill these institutions and get them playing in the public markets? And I can't, think of a better team than Aave to kind of be onboarding them here and to doing that, because Aave definitely believes in, a truly decentralized financial future. So yeah, really, really awesome to see this playing out here. And I think the concerns around this are definitely overblown at the end of the day. So CoinDesk, Zapper announced that they have raised a $15 million Series A here, and CoinDesk obviously covered it. Framework Ventures led the round, and I discussed Framework Ventures yesterday and about how they raised a new $100 million round. But essentially there was participation from people like Mark Cuban as well, which is really, really cool to see, and Ashton Kutcher, which was a bit random. That was funny to see as well. But some celebrities on board with this round here, and this follows their seed round that they completed in November of 2020, which I actually participated in, so just the disclosure there. But I mean, we all know and love Zapper, right? This is, I use Zapper every single day. It is the best tool, in my opinion, for tracking, all of your assets, where they all are. Best tool for kind of, they've got these things called zaps where you can get into and out of different positions within DeFi. And there's a bunch of other features that they've got now, like they let you bridge your liquidity over to other networks. I mean, they're building so much behind the scenes as well. They've been teasing a mobile wallet app for quite a while, which I think will be ready eventually, ready sooner rather than later. But yeah, really great to see this. I guess congrats to them for this raise. And their previous investors during this seed were also big names, including Coinbase Ventures and Coin Fund and Kane from Synthetics and ParaFi and Scalar. I mean, you would have seen a lot of these names around there. So really, really, really cool to see this. And $15 million is a lot. They're going to be building out, expanding the team, I'm sure, and I can't wait to see what they get up to over the coming months. So last up, I had this question here, and I didn't answer this on Twitter because I wanted to answer it on the Refuel because I believe that some of you may have gotten confused about this. But it was a question from Nacion here. He basically asked that yesterday on the Refuel, I said that other chains want to take business away from ETH because their token increases in value with adoption, unlike Polygon. But why wouldn't Polygon have the same incentives? Now, I want to clarify this and say that I didn't mean to imply that Polygon or the MATIC token is unlike this. But what I did want to kind of I talk about is how I believe that the MATIC token going up in value does not take away from ETH going up in value. And this is actually a wider discussion, so maybe I'll take a step back here and talk about things that because this is a discussion that I see typically play out in the ecosystem a lot, and it played out a lot last year, where people said, well, if DeFi is a massive driver of ETH's value or Ethereum network's value, then you may as well just buy DeFi tokens and not buy ETH. This was a popular narrative last year, and that was obviously wrong, right? But the reason why this was popular is because people believed that you could just speculate on the application layer and leave the protocol layer, and they didn't understand the value drivers for ETH. Now, I'm not going to rehash the value drivers. I've talked about that a lot, right? The TLDR is that ETH's value comes from 1559 staking and trustless collateral in DeFi, and its use as money within kind of ecosystems like NFTs. But that was a popular talking point, right? And what this all comes back to is, if one token price is going up, does that affect another token price? Well, you could make the argument that if someone puts $1,000 into MATIC, right, that's $1,000 that didn't go into ETH. But I don't view it like that. Markets don't work like that. People don't just own one asset. I do think that people can own multiple assets, and I do think that it's all additive at the end of the day. I think that Polygon adds a ton of value to Ethereum, both from being socially and politically aligned, but also technically aligned. Polygon, as I've discussed before, the POS chain actually pays Ethereum gas fees because all of the staking logic lives on Ethereum, and it commits itself to Ethereum periodically as well. So, and my comments around other chains and why they are competitive, it wasn't just around their token being competitive to ETH, but it was also around how they approach it. These other chains want to take value away from ETH, right? They're open about this. They want to make sure that their token becomes the centerpiece of their ecosystem, or else they wouldn't have a token. You've seen this play out with BSC, where they want BNB to be the centerpiece, right? They have BNB for fees on BSC, and they're not going to change that. Now, I know Polygon has MATIC tokens for fees on the Polygon POS chain, but the team has signaled that they have plans to integrate ETH as a fee token as well. And I know the team personally; they're all massive ETH bulls. They hold lots of ETH and all that good stuff as well. Whereas I think a lot of these other competitor teams don't. I think they hold their tokens, like whether it be Solana, they hold Sol. I know that the EOS people, they sold all their ETH from the ICO, they bought Bitcoin with it, so now they have BTC and EOS. They definitely don't care about ETH going up in value, and they don't want it to go up in value, and then all the other ecosystems as well. So, not everyone is going to be someone who doesn't hold any ETH, but I think that at the end of the day, there's enough money to go around, and I think that markets don't work as simply as if $1,000 goes into this, it didn't go into this. That means this took money away from this, because you could say that if $1,000 goes into ETH, that means $1,000 didn't go into the thousands of other cryptocurrencies, and that would be true too. But I think that's the wrong framing here. And as I said, I didn't mean to imply that the kind of other chains don't take that Polygon takes business away from ETH if its token goes up in value, or whatever like that. I think that Polygon being as aligned as it is with Ethereum is just very good for Ethereum and net positive for the value of Ethereum. Even though there's a lot of debate right now about Polygon, the POS chain, and it not being a quote unquote true layer 2 and it being more like a side chain or a commit chain. I mean, I get all those comments, but at the end of the day, to me, it's more about the kind of social and political side of it. And the technology side evolves over time and things like that. So I don't think that that the Polygon ecosystem has the same incentives as the other ones. I think that Polygon or MATIC network has always been an Ethereum scaling solution. They've always positioned themselves as that. They have never tried to be anything but that. And if you think the other layer 2 or the other scalability solutions, whether they be layer 2 or otherwise, aren't going to issue their own token, then you're fooling yourself. They're all going to have a token, right? Whatever that token is for is up to them. But I'm telling you right now, Starkware is going to have another token, Arbitrum, Optimism, ZK Sync. I don't have any inside information here. I don't know if they will for sure, but I'm telling you that I believe they will. Because at the end of the day, tokens act as a very good way to obviously coordinate capital, right? If whether it be a DAO, do kind of governance things, act as like staking tokens as well. Because to decentralize layer 2s, you need to incentivize people to run the nodes, and to do that, you need to kind of like have some monetary reward, at least to bootstrap it. And obviously, it's a way for the team and investors to kind of like monetize the protocol as well. And things like that. But I do believe these layer 2s are just going to keep ETH as the fee token at the end of the day, because it actually makes more sense for them to do that, because these layer 2s have to collect a small fee anyway, so they can pay the fees to layer 1. So essentially that ETH just gets burned or whatever. So yeah, from that perspective, I think that if you're talking about, what tokens are parasitic to whatever other tokens because someone invests in that instead of buying that, I don't think that's just the right framework to look at these things. And it goes a lot deeper than what I have time to discuss today. You could do case studies on this and research into this, but I think the proof is in the markets. Has the adoption of DeFi and DeFi tokens, has the adoption of other kind of networks like even BSC with the value of BNB going up and kind of like Polygon, like a side chain or whatever, going up and stuff like that, has that taken away from the value of ETH? I would say it hasn't. I mean, ETH went to $4,400. Yes, it's come down because the whole market sold off, but I would say that the value of ETH has its own value drivers, and the MATIC token has its own value drivers, and all the other tokens have their own value drivers, and it depends on how much people value this. And I think that people can own multiple tokens, right? I think that most people hold a lot of their portfolio in ETH. Then they might speculate on DeFi tokens because there's more risk there. And then they might speculate and buy other tokens like layer 2 tokens or whatever at the end of the day as well. So hopefully that answers your question, Nazion. I will actually link this to him. I linked the video to him because I didn't actually reply here. But I just figured it was important to clarify my comments on the refuel. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. That's it for today's episode. So thank you everyone for listening and watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Give that video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the newsletter. Join the Discord channel. And I'll catch you all tomorrow. Thanks, everyone.